Have you ever wondered if behind every legendary figure of the criminal underworld, there stands someone even more dangerous? Someone whose name is only whispered in the darkest alleys and whose face has never appeared in a police file? Today, we will uncover the secret of the Mafia's most lethal killer, a phantom the authorities have kept silent about for half a century. If you watch until the end, you will learn a secret that could have shattered the world of organized crime and still strikes fear into the hearts of even the most notorious mobsters. Get ready, because this story will change your understanding of power, betrayal, and the true price of a life in a world ruled by the law of the jungle. In the smoky bars and on the streets of the old world, where rules were written in blood and respect was earned with brutality, empires were born. It was there, in the heart of Sicily, where the air is thick with the scent of intrigue and sweet wine, that the very force which later crossed the ocean and took root in the fertile soil of American cities was born. These were families whose loyalty to a code of honor was more terrifying than any weapon. Cosa Nostra, Camorra, and 'Ndrangheta, each name sounds like a sentence, an echo of centuries steeped in blood and gold. Their laws were simple and unshakable. Omerta, the vow of silence that bound them tighter than steel chains. No snitching, no unnecessary words. Only loyalty to the family. Any violation was punished without mercy. The hierarchy was as clear as that of a pack of predators. Dons, capos, soldiers. Everyone knew their place, everyone played their part in this deadly ballet of power. But among these iron rules and bloody traditions, there were legends. Stories of those who surpassed the ordinary soldiers, who were not just enforcers, but true phantoms, shadows whose appearance heralded certain death.
Remember Al Capone? His name thundered across the world. He was the face of the Mafia, its king. But behind him, there were always those who cleared his path, who eliminated obstacles, who made his enemies tremble at a mere mention. We're talking about figures like Frank the Enforcer Nitti, Capone's right-hand man who commanded his army of killers, or the legendary Albert Anastasia, nicknamed the Mad Hatter, or the Lord High Executioner, who headed Murder, Inc., an organization whose very name sent a chill down the spine. These men were the living embodiment of a nightmare for anyone who dared to stand in the Mafia's way. They didn't ask, they didn't explain, they just did their job. But today, we want to tell you about someone even more elusive, even more lethal, someone whose name was never spoken aloud, not even in the deepest basements of the FBI. He was called the Shadow. No one knew his real name. No one saw his face. He appeared and vanished, leaving behind only the cold dread and the silent evidence of his work. The story of the Shadow Killer begins in the 70s, during the most brutal mafia wars in New York. This was a time when the five families, Gambino, Lucchesi, Genovese, Bonanno, and Colombo, were carving up the city like hungry predators dividing their prey. The streets of Manhattan and Brooklyn turned into a battlefield where any day could be your last. It was during this period that the Shadow emerged. His signature was unique: silence, precision, and a complete lack of evidence. He could appear in the most heavily guarded location, complete his task, and disappear as if he had never been there. Recall the infamous Colombo War between the Gambino and Colombo families. Dozens were killed. The streets were awash with blood. In the midst of this slaughter, when it seemed chaos would consume everyone, several key figures who instigated and fueled the conflict vanished without a trace. No one could understand how it happened. The police were stumped, the mafia bewildered. This was the work of the Shadow. He didn't pick sides. He simply eliminated those who prevented the big bosses from achieving their goals.
Imagine this: John Gotti, the Teflon Don, so called for his ability to evade justice. He was the personification of power and impunity. But even behind him stood those who ensured his safety and eliminated threats. And so, when one of his most dangerous rivals, a certain Salvatore "Sammy the Bull" Gravano, started talking too much, the order was given to take him out. But the Shadow intervened differently. He didn't kill him. He made the evidence that could have destroyed Gotti disappear. It was a subtle and masterful move that saved the boss, but left many mystified. The Shadow was no ordinary hitman. He was more than just a killing machine. He was a strategic weapon, a living embodiment of fear, used only in the most critical situations. His job was not just to eliminate a target, but to do it in a way that sowed panic so that no one could understand what had happened. This allowed the mafia to maintain control without drawing unnecessary attention or provoking large-scale wars. Once, in Chicago, where another legendary mobster, Tony Big Tuna Accardo, held power, a problem arose with the unions. Several union leaders had become too independent and started threatening the family's interests. Usually, such problems were solved quickly and brutally, but Accardo, having heard of the Shadow, decided to act differently. A few weeks later, all the troublesome leaders simply vanished. No bodies, no witnesses, not a single clue. The unions were frozen in terror, and Accardo gained full control without spilling a drop of blood on the streets. This was the calling card of the Shadow: efficiency without the noise. His legend grew, shrouded in speculation and rumors. It was said that he could change his appearance, that he was a master of disguise, that he possessed incredible survival skills and could disappear into a crowd like a drop in the ocean. But the most terrifying thing was that nobody knew who he was. He was a man with no name, no past, no future, completely dissolved in his mission. He was a ghost, a living embodiment of fear that walked the streets of our cities. This is precisely why the authorities concealed his existence for so long. To acknowledge such a figure would be to admit their powerlessness against an organized crime network capable of creating such elusive agents. They couldn't catch him. They couldn't even find a lead. And so the mafia's most dangerous killer remained a myth, a whisper, a legend passed down only in the darkest circles. His existence is proof that the world of the mafia is deeper and more dangerous than we can ever imagine. And there you have it, the story that was kept behind 7 locks for years. The story of a man whose name still strikes terror into the hearts of the most fearless gangsters. If this legend sent a chill down your spine and gave you a new perspective on the criminal world, then don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe to our channel so you don't miss new thrilling stories, and leave a comment. Let us know what you think of this invisible executioner of the mafia. And if we get 1,000 likes, I will tell you about the most brutal vendetta in the history of the American mafia, which led to the complete annihilation of one of its most powerful families. Don't miss it. It's going to be explosive.